like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark, Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice down the side.
Welcome to the 49er Faithful UK show. It is Player Tampering Monday. It's 8 p.m. UK time, and it's all kicking off in the NFL. So we thought, yeah, let's just do it live and see what happens. We may even get some breaking news. I'm Gareth Ellis, and joined, as always, by Lee Gowland.
Hey guys, how are we doing?
Paul Hope.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us.
And Naji Kaur.
Hello everyone.
So, it's going to be a little bit chaotic, unscripted, most definitely, uncoordinated, quite probably, and unintelligible, more than likely. Exciting day so far, lads.
Yeah, free agency as always.
Yeah, very
I like
surprising.
I like it because the past few years they've tried to turn it into the NBA free agency, which is completely bonkers when it happens, usually, and with the tampering period and all that, it works. It's exciting, loads happening. Like the Bills have just signed Tremaine Edmonds, which is crazy. Just saw that.
A couple of you guys are going to be keeping an eye on Twitter and what have you.
I've got Twitter right in front of us.
Yeah, breaking news. Well, I would say just leap in, shout up if you get an exciting bit of news from around the league. Let's start with picking up a little bit of news from last week. Tayshaun Gibson re-signed. Was that last week or was it early this week? Anyway, a couple of days ago, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was within the last. Really, I thought it was within the last 24 hours. To be honest.
Oh, was it last night? And we knew this morning.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So much has happened. Maybe it just seems like a long time ago, but a good deal. I think 2.9 million.
Yeah, really good deal. Yeah.
So I did hear a story that if he came back, because he was contemplating retirement, if he came back, he wanted to come back for the 49ers, and that was pretty much it. Either that or he was just going to retire. So I think we got a team-friendly deal there.
Thank you, Ty. That is so true.
Yeah.
So very true. I really like the fact that he was like, I'll do another year. Last year was pretty fun before I retire, but I'm not playing anywhere else. It's like here or I'll go away kind of thing. And then John Lynch was like, all right, do you want $2 million? I'm like, yeah, sure. So good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was really good. I'm happy that we can keep the partnership with Hunger. Clearly worked, and just bring back the best defense in the league, right?
And probably means the end of Jimmy Ward for sure.
Yes. Sorry. Finally.
No,
9 years too short.
All I was going to say, Nadji, is the thing with Gibson, if you look at his play from last year, Gareth, the fact that he had 61 tackles, he took all the snaps on defense, he had the 5 interceptions. In this crazy free agency, as Nadji said, you could have been looking at 9, 10, 11 million. And the fact that we've got him for a 1-year contract, 2.9, 1.17 guaranteed base salary, $1 million sign-in bonus, 680,000 total game pre-roster, and a 50,000 workout bonus. But tellingly, Nadji, your boy Hufanga was the first one to tweet out his congratulations and run it back. And that partnership they had, I thought was
they clearly get along, right? You can tell they had fun playing alongside each other. And that's half the battle, isn't it? Yeah, no Jimmy. Yeah. We'll talk about it later.
Another signing, I think this one was last week, Juwan Jennings, exclusive rights free agent. He basically doesn't give him much choice whether to sign his tender or not, but great to see him back with the team, I think.
Yeah, so the exclusive right works the fact that he can get better deals from other team, but we have a right to match that before anybody else can. So I'm guessing he didn't get any better offer, and I think we gave him a really good one. And I think it's the same as Gibson. Like, why would you want to leave? You've got a role. You've got clearly you all people like you here, and you're doing really well. Why would you want to leave? And Super Bowl,
lots and lots of dollars,
and and money. So I think it makes sense to me.
I think if Jennings can cut out some of the silly mistakes that he's making this year, and when I say silly mistakes, I mean the undisciplined play that he had this season, then he's more than worth a 1-year contract. He is a good player. I think he's underrated. Yeah, he's almost money on third downs. He's our go-to guy. I've liked him ever since we drafted him, and I think he's proven that he can be a valuable part of the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Glad to see him back. So should we dive into the big news, which broke, was it now 3 hours ago? Javon Hargreaves signed to the Niners. 3 years, was it? 84 million?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years for a 30-year-old. Yeah. So me and Angie were talking about this off air just before we came on, and I wouldn't be surprised if that contract actually runs over 6 years with a couple of void years in. So he's not going to get that 84 million in the next 4 years. I mean, we all know the way that Parag negotiates contracts now. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of void years in there. But
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see the details. But what a signing! That's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Hi, Luke. I can't wait to see the details. We know it's a 40 guarantee over potentially 4 years, maybe 6, as Lee says, or maybe just 5 with a 1 void year at the end. So that's like, it's 10 million a year. I'm guessing he's going to get a chunk of that in signing bonus, which is spread over however many years as you want, because it's just cash. So I fully expect that contract to be kind of team friendly. I think we made an offer and he was like, yeah, playing with Harry Armstead and Nick Bosa, that sounds pretty good. And let's give that a go. So yeah, it's hard to tell until we see the exact details of the contract. But in terms of player, well, I mean, he was awesome last year. He's been awesome when he was at the Steelers. He's been a very good player for a long time. And I'm pretty sure Bosa, Armstead, Kinlaw, everybody playing on the line is very happy to have that guy. It's a good signing. It's a splashy signing as well. I like it.
Yeah, it's the kind of signing that I don't think any 49er fan was really expecting. Not in this free agency, given what cap space we have. So I want to upset Paul now by going back to something I said a while ago. I am absolutely convinced that we're going to trade one of our marquee players this off-season for 2 reasons. 1, for the cap space. 2, to get a higher draft pick. I am absolutely convinced that's going to happen because we are rapidly running out of money with Hargrave, with Gibson, with Jennings and Pepper. I mean, that takes us to 53. Sorry, no, it doesn't. Can't count. It takes us to 51 people on the roster, and we've only got 3 million left.
Yeah, but the cap only counts for
the first 51.
Yeah, the first 51. So.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier, Gareth. So for everyone watching, we were going to record tonight. We were going to do it off air, and I said to the lads, bit nervous about this because the pod might be out of date before we publish it. And I was preparing my notes, Gareth. I was like, we're not making a splashy free agent sign, and we've got no salary cap room. And then my good friend Mike, who's a Rams fan, texted me, yeah, you've got Hargreave. And when I was preparing, I was like, he was up there in everyone's top 5 free agents this year. And I didn't think for a million years we would get him. But when you talk about that, Lee, you look at the contracts, next year's scary, which we can get into later. If you go on Spot Track and you look at the salary cap, our salary cap hits for 2024 scary. However, I believe there's 3 candidates that we're going to look to restructure. The first one being CMC, because he's got no guaranteed money. So I believe they can give him a huge signing bonus, bring his cap hit down. Nick Bosa, I believe they'll get that done at training camp, Lee. Again, I believe it'll be heavily front-loaded. His cap hit will be minimal this year. I think we could look at restructuring Warner, because I think he's young enough to do a restructure. And my third one would be Mooney Ward. Now, I know I've seen a lot of talk on 49ers Twitter about Armstead and about Trent Williams. I wouldn't touch them contracts because of the age they are, the money that's already there.
Yeah, I don't think we can touch Trent Williams again this year because he's already restructured this past season. So I don't think we can do him again. I do believe Arik restructured as well this past season.
I think it was last year, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah.
Right, could be.
Maybe.
Could be. I know you can't restructure them twice within a year.
Yeah. Well, we could restructure after Wednesday, right? It's as long as we know over the cap, we could do it leading up to training camp and all that kind of stuff. Right. I'm guessing Facebook user is Brett again. He's probably not signed in or something. It's a good question though.
Yeah.
What do we think
What
happens to
happens to
Kinlaw
Kinlaw?
now?
So I don't think there's going to be much difference to what we were going to do. I'm not sure how the contract works if we trade him because I don't know if we still have dead cap if we trade him. We can't cut him. We can't cut him. We can't release him.
No, we can't cut him because rookie money is guaranteed.
Potentially
so
we can trade him, but there still might be some sort of cap hit there. But who's going to take him?
Yeah, depending on what the team decides to take salary-wise, they probably won't take the 100%, so we will have to pay him anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, just keep him. He's on a rookie contract. I know he's getting something like 13 million, but that's very cheap if he turns out to have a full season with Hargrave, with Hampstead and Bosa, and God knows if he actually balls out. That's really, really cheap for a good D tackle. And then
exactly.
Pick up the fifth option and just trade him next year, or trade somebody else. I don't know. I haven't seen enough to say that I don't want him. The injuries are annoying, obviously, but in terms of play, when he's been really good. So
Ty makes a good point there, and I completely agree with that. That Kinlaw will be treated like DJ Jones. He'll be used in rotation. That should keep him healthy with any luck, because he's had no luck at all with injuries. I'm saying he's had no luck. All the injuries he's had has all been knee related, which was the same injury he had at college. And obviously, I mean, you have to look at Lynch and the front office and whether or not they did the due diligence correctly on Kinlaw, because he just hasn't getting over those knee problems. No. Is he going to get over them? It sounds as though it's a chronic knee problem. I very much doubt it. Yeah. But if we can get one good season out of him as a rotational player, you're right. For the value that we're getting for him and the potential that he has there, keep him. He's already counting towards the cap anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Unless somebody comes in with, giving us another third round or fourth round and taking his entire contract away from us, then.
Or Khalil Davis steps up.
Or Khalil Davis steps up. Yeah,
and we can find somebody who we can trade Kinlaw for.
Well, yeah, but still, our D line has never relied on 4, 5, 6 guys. It's been more like 8, maybe 9, even 10. 9. So up to 10 sometimes. And at the moment, we're at we just noticed Ridgeway is going to Texans, so we don't have him anymore. Maurice Hurst might be coming back, but after an injury, sideline him for a year. Do you really want to count on that? So we really only have 5 D line at the moment. I'm not surprised if we draft another 2. But I'd be surprised if we enter training camp and we don't have 11 or 12 on the roster, maybe even more than that. So,
do you want to get a word in, Paul?
I'm just smiling because this time last year we had a QB going in for surgery, question marks over Trey Lance, and we had a gazillion defensive linemen. We were spending the most of our budget on defensive linemen. You fast forward 12 months and Jimmy Ward's gone, Jimmy G's gone, but here we are again. Like Nadji said, it's our strength. It's what the team's known for. And as much as we've been taken by surprise by the splash in free agency, you think back 12 months ago, we got Mooney Ward off the go, and a lot of people were surprised that we made that splash last year. And I think it's very clear what the team are doing this year. I'm not overly worried about the salary cap implications. Our good friends at the Rams have shown us the magic can happen with that calculator, Lee. Yeah. And I know you're always the pragmatic one amongst us, but Parag, I trust. I think the restructure will get done. But to be fair, Gareth, where were you when the news broke? Because the news broke to me by a Rams fan as I was preparing for the show. So how did you find out about Hargreave?
I think on the Facebook Messenger. When from you, Paul, actually. I think you broke it to me, or was it Lee? One of you got in first.
Half a job, Harry, Lee posted.
Yeah, half a job, Harry.
A bit of a surprise. I think we all knew that, like last year, Lynch would have his eye on somebody and they'd go for the player they want, rather than just kind of hang around and see who's there. They'd find the player they want and they'd go for him. And I think there's a couple of things there. I think, firstly, it does look fairly bad for Javon Kinlaw. I thought we might go for D-line, but I thought it would be edge. But then again, if you're getting pressure up the middle as well, that's good enough. And secondly, I think it's slightly odd that we were saying, there's absolutely no way we can afford to re-sign McGlinchey, who's just signed with the Broncos for 87 million, and we've signed a guy on the other side of the line for 84 million. So we could have afforded McGlinchey. We just didn't want to pay him.
Didn't want to.
But I think that also says something about Colton McKivitz, who we recently re-signed, who now appears to be potentially our starting right tackle, depending what might happen with the draft or back end of free agency. But I think we've learned quite a lot from one move.
Yeah, that's true. Just before we move on D-line, we did resign Givens back to 1 year.
Yeah.
So, that's it. Again, it's what we do, as Ty says. It is what we do. Although, I know this is what we've been doing, but now that we have broken Trey and we can actually, if we look at the back end of the season and we can score 38 points per game, are we seeing a shift in maybe not targeting D-line so much, and maybe, because our D-line wasn't the best last year. We were a very good defense overall, but apart from Bosa, the pressure wasn't really getting there.
And I think that's
our
the
run
whole
stopping
point of bringing
wasn't.
Hargrave in.
Yeah, no, I know it fixes that a little bit, but it doesn't solve the Bukam problem, not creating pressure, and Omeni who having some but not enough in my eye, or Armstead not having any at all, or Kinlaw obviously not playing. The Eagles had 70 something sacks spread around. We basically had Bosa and no one else. So I don't know if this philosophy is still quite anchored on that defense. I mean, it obviously is, but maybe we'll try and have a very solid line and some decent backups. I don't know. Maybe this is, because if you can score 40 points per game, who cares if you're good or bad on defense, right?
Plus, we know secondary linebackers are pretty much elite across the board, and pretty much as now a stable unit going into the new year. So it may be a slight change of philosophy, but I don't know that we need much on the offensive side of the ball either, other than
that's true.
Potentially.
That's a good question, Luke. Good question by Luke. I think before we came on, I saw Calais Campbell getting released by the Ravens, and I was like, oh, that would be good for us if we could snatch him up on a come and prove a 1 year deal kind of thing. So I do think we do need 2 gap run stoppers, people that can not necessarily run stopper, but people that can create penetration and disrupt running routes, not necessarily make the tackle, but redirect traffic in the middle. I think that's where we're really good at when we had Buckner and Armstead. There was always somebody in the backfield, blowing things up. So, hopefully, I mean, Hargrave is definitely one of those guys. But I wouldn't surprise if we sign somebody like Campbell, like an older dude that can, just got probably a year or 2 left in him.
I think we've seen before that there's plenty of if you like middle of the pack D linemen that tend to be available, and we've sat and waited, see who's been left behind, and a lot of these guys we've got a reputation now for, if you can't get the kind of 5-6 million you're looking for, come to the Niners for a year for 2, and you'll probably win that contract afterwards. And I think we're very attractive, and I think there's just always enough players that we probably couldn't name now, but we've gone through them all in the last few years, bringing these guys in, turning them into a solid unit, if not spectacular individual performances, but then they've got an opportunity to go and get paid somewhere else. So I fully expect us to sit and wait, and then maybe pick it up with a couple of guys perhaps in 2 or 3 weeks' time, when maybe their salary demands are perhaps a little bit more reasonable for us.
Yeah. One last point with the Hargrave signing. But one thing I absolutely love is we got better, but we also took a player from potentially our biggest rival in the NFC.
Yeah.
That's just such good business. It's just, you were good. Here, you're not as good anymore. We'll take that. Thank you very much.
Do you think the Eagles are actually going to be our biggest rival next season?
No,
Considering
probably
who they've
not.
lost on the coaching staff, who they're losing on defense. I mean, you're kind of making an assumption there that they're built like the 49ers, that they've got good inbuilt talent, in-house talent in the coaching staff, and that they can replace players quite easily. There's nothing from the Eagles I've seen that suggests they can do that. To be honest, I think last year for the Eagles that might have been a one-off. I don't think they're going to be bad next year. Don't get us wrong. I think they'll be there. They'll be challenging. I think they'll find it tough to win the division next year. I think the Cowboys will have something to say about that. Potentially even the Giants, depending on what they do in the draft. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I mean, we have weakened one of the stronger teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
And it's great to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I don't think necessarily the Eagles can repeat, but it's very hard to be the best defense in the league 2 years in a row. It's very, very hard. So try and give yourself ammo to be able to, even just scratching top 5. I think is a good thing to do.
Do you know what's even better about the signing? We all gushed about Armstead getting that pressure on the quarterbacks, but not necessarily getting the hits. And when I was preparing for tonight, Gareth, in case you hit me with the stats, I've got his stats, but the key one was he has a pressure rate of 13.2%, which was a career high. You put that next to Armstead, you put that next to Bosa, and we're forgetting Steve Wilkes likes to blitz, and I don't mean with the front four. He likes to blitz with the guys from behind. And let's face it, who do we have who could hit that mould? Ooh, Fred Warner. Ooh, Hufanga. Add that in there to the number one defence with that mentality and philosophy. I'm excited, and I've had a bit of hately from non-49er fans saying defence doesn't win championships, and why are you getting excited about signing this guy? And I thought, if you're hating on it, that's why I'm getting excited.
So that's a really good segue into one of the rumours who the 49ers are after, and that's Zadarius Smith from the Vikings.
Oh wow, that'd be huge.
So if those rumours are true, when we bring him in, that would be huge.
That would be huge. I'm not sure the philosophy of the player is quite what we do. He's a bit of a diva, but that would definitely. And if we can afford him, I heard he might go to the Bears or something like that. But in terms of generating pass rush, he's a little bit hit and miss, though, isn't he? When he's good, he's very good, but when he's bad, he's really bad. So I'm not sure. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. But then we'd have to let Ebukam go, I would imagine, because a bit of a clash there in terms of skills. Shall we move on?
Well, when you say we have to let Ebukam go, he's not under contract. He's
not. He's a free agent, isn't he? Yeah, we haven't re-signed him. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
We do need edge rusher. That's something we might be. Maybe we'll drop. I mean, we do have Drake Jackson. I think Drake Jackson's going to have more of a role next year. And
and that's another good advantage of bringing in Hargrave.
Yeah,
the talent that's going to be on that defensive line now to help out Drake Jackson actually get to his potential is great. I mean, we've got all pros along the line now, apart from Eric Armstead, but he has been a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You think Ebukam will walk Menahu? Do you think a lot of that D line will get?
Yeah, they'll get paid. They'll get paid. They just played too good.
Yeah. I don't think we can match unless we put ourselves in really icy waters, and then your team explodes like the Rams. I really like the way we do it. Usually, it's a little bit like the old Patriots move where you've got players that are really good and just like, sorry, I know you're good, but we can absolutely be good without you. Go and get paid somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's the Buckner thing, isn't it? Like there was no way we could keep him, and it doesn't surprise me if we start trimming down somewhere as well. Ebukam has quite a big contract. I mean, it wasn't that much, but Jimmy Ward, Ebukam, Jimmy G, all those contracts, McGlinchey are gone now. That's quite a lot of trimming.
Should we flip sides on the trenches? Maybe talk about the O-line side? Because obviously when I'd looked through a free agency list, I thought the guy who might be most difficult to replace was McGlinchey, because we're not going to lose quite a lot of players, but no one who was a major player, I think, as in a guaranteed 17-game starter, other than McGlinchey. Yeah. Do you think McKivitz is the guy, or do you think that was a little bit of insurance, maybe a little bit of leverage, if we maybe look at a tackle in free agency?
I think McKivitz is a cheap option for depth on the O-line. A name that we haven't heard last season, but he showed what he could do in his rookie season, was Jalen Moore. And then he kind of went quiet and disappeared. And we've seen that with Shanahan's rosters where rookies play a few good games. Best examples would be Diamodola, Sammy Womack, the first 2-3 games.
Yeah.
You look at them and you think, wow, those are brilliant. And then they go missing for the rest of the season. But then the season after, you've seen what Lenore's done. And we're kind of expecting that from Womack. Now, I know
Banks
this will
as
be...
well. Yeah.
And Aaron Banks. I know this will be Jalen Moore's third season, the new season coming up. But he could be the guy that goes over to right tackle. When we saw him play in his first season, the games he did play, largely he was a good player. And he impressed. He impressed more than what Aaron Banks did.
Yeah.
So hopefully that 2 seasons in the NFL, he may have bulked up a little bit and he may be our right tackle.
Go on, Paul. Leap in.
No, I'm monitoring the comments, so we're all multitasking tonight, lads. But Ty's put there. One thing I was thinking was the same as Ty. Moore looks a bit more of a guard, but the beauty of free agency starting now is we're gonna head into draft season. Now we're all shocked that Mr. Gowland hasn't done 3,000 PFF mocks yet.
Oh, he has. He just hasn't.
However, the free agency
right.
allows you to look. So we've obviously signed up some key pieces. I think people forget, Gareth, we've got 11 picks in the draft. And we always remember, like Lee said, the 49ers take a player sometimes with next year in mind. So I agree. I think the McKivitz signing was just kind of cheap and cheerful, a plug in. I'm not so concerned about Jake Brendel at the moment. If he gets paid, fair play to the lad. But I wouldn't overpay at that position. I trust the team. And like you said, I'm just chucking on there. So Luke has put in there that we've retained McKivitz. I'm at least as concerned about centre, so same as me there. But it's the beauty of the NFL. Tracy said to me a couple of days ago, got any pods on this week, Paul? There's not much to talk about, is there? And I said, Tracy, what have I told you about the 49ers in the NFL? There's no such thing as an off-season. And like I said, we were preparing for today. All our notes are out the window, and I'm just excited. I mean, is there anyone from college, Nadji, that we should be looking at? Because we're picking around pick 99, pick 101. Is there anyone you would suggest being our college guru?
It's really hard to evaluate all lines in college. Because
How about Oregon Center?
Yeah, do you know what?
well.
Forsyth. If we drive Forsyth, I would be absolutely ecstatic. He's amazing. He's not very durable. That's the problem. He gets injured quite a lot. And I've seen him go in like the 7th round, which is really surprising. Unless his injuries, he was injured at the back end of the season. Unless it's a lot worse than it looked. He tried to play on it and it wasn't very good. But yeah, I would love to have Forsyth. He's a leader as well. That'd be great. It's a good name, but it's so hard to predict the tackles in the draft. I mean, like, I'm not.
I just wanted to put you on the spot. But before we move on, apparently Gary's dropped some breaking news.
Yeah,
so that's why I've got the ticker along the bottom there. So go on, crack on with Gary's.
Just there, the bottom says Al Shahir's made it official, said goodbye to the faithful. And you were talking earlier, Gareth, so Charles Omenihu, he tweeted out something similar at the weekend, as in something about, I've put it on tape, I expect to get paid. And I thought, I can't see him coming back. How many of these guys do we think we end up at the 49ers Mark 3? Because the 49ers Mark 2 is the Dolphins, Mark 3 is the Texans. How many of our free agents are going that way?
You've got the Jets in there. They must be.
Mark 1 is the Jets, I guess. Al Shahir would probably go there, I would imagine. Unless he ends up back with the Jets or back with the Dolphins. I don't know. That's a bit of a loss if he is indeed going. Very good backup, very good, more than average backup. I think he can definitely start in this league in many, many teams. It's a bit of a shame. What up? What up, everyone?
That's Ryan from No Border Sports.
Oh, it's Ryan. Oh, of course, yes, of course.
There's a silver lining with these guys leaving, though, because I think compensatory picks will come in. We seem to be churning out players who immediately go and get signed elsewhere, and we're getting at least something back for them. It's a very impressive strategy they put together. Getting 11 picks this year. I know we've got extra 3rd round picks in 2024 and 2025, and which we already know about. Those are guaranteed from the coaching and front office hires. They've been just doing a really impressive job about working this system and making sure that, fair enough, we get these guys, we train them up, we get good value out of them for 2 or 3 years. Then you can't keep all your stars. You've got to let people like Al Shahir and DJ Jones walk. but you get something back for them because you picked up these guys for next to nothing, 6th, 7th round picks or undrafted, and you get a 6th or 7th round pick back for them. It's a fantastic strategy.
Yeah, no, it's playing the numbers and playing the game really well, and betting on certain players the right way, isn't it? And I think that's why I'm not too worried about a right tackle situation, because at some point you have to take a chance on players, and you have to try and strike. Fred Warner and the likes. You go for this guy, and if he turns out to be good, then you're in for a Super Bowl caliber type of team, and if you don't, you're probably above average kind of thing. But yeah, I think either it's McKivitz or whoever's replacing. I think Luke is right. Oren Burks will probably take Shair's space, playing special team and backing up or going on when we go for free fall and try and stop the run kind of thing. It's not a bad thing. You just keep getting these gems around the league because there is loads of them, and trying to find them and try and hit. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It's kind of part of the game, and I think why teams are good or not sometimes. Just like, oh, this guy is actually really good. He was drafted in the 7th round, pick 262. He's actually really good.
We've got ahead of the game as well by this drafting for 2 years' time. We can take these late round picks. We can take guys who are unpolished but have the right attitude or athleticism or the right traits, and say, look, we can work with these guys. And I have a feeling that McKivitz might be the starter, because I think we should have learned something from last year. We were worried about Banks. We were worried about Burford, a 4th round rookie starting. We were worried about Brendel moving to centre. I think we should trust the O-line and the coaching in the same way that when we sign someone on the D-line, even if we've never heard of them, we think, okay, they'll be good because they're coming into our D-line and our coaches will work with them. I think we should possibly have the same respect for the O-line coaches as well, that they're preparing these players. And maybe that's where McKivitz has basically been really good, perhaps in practice, and could have been McGlinchley out. But
we have others. Nick Zackels, probably butcher his name. I'm sorry, Nick. We drafted 2 last year. I can't remember who the second one is.
We got an undrafted guy as well, Poe, I think, who...
Jason Poe.
And Donovan West.
Donovan West.
Donovan West's not with us anymore.
Oh, no, he got picked up, didn't he?
He got picked up.
Yeah, so, one of those guys is bound to be maybe good. And if no, we can hit on somebody in this year's draft and make a change and have a rookie outperforming everyone. Who's to say Brunskill isn't going to play right tackle, and we keep Burford might actually stop being swapped and subbed, and it'll be Brunskill, Burford, and
I'd like to keep Brunskill. I think
absolutely. He's a gem.
That experience, and I think he's earned a bit of a payday. If we could squeeze it in, I'd like to keep Brunskill myself.
Well, can you remember the awards?
Oh, Gutierrez, yes.
Can you remember last year where we had the famous Brunskill, Onan, Donald? And I thought that would be my favourite moment, Gareth, but preparing for the show, there's a bit where this season Donald comes off the line, he kind of jumps, and McKivitz just pushes him over. And I was like, yeah, just give him a contract just for that before Lee jumps in. One thing you were saying there, Gareth, what a lot of teams forget is that our D-line coach, Chris Kasurik, was in the meeting to appoint Steve Wilkes. I don't think many teams do that, like you said, and it shows you the trust Shanahan has in his coaching staff, that he basically had them in the room, said, right, who do you want as your coordinator, and our D-line's going to be our strength, and it's great. Alex Simpson's jumped in on what you've said there, Najee. That's the KLB one to watch out for. Ty's confirmed there that West has gone. Poe and Zakil is still on the team. Now, Alex Simpson thinks we're going to trade up. But what do you three fine gentlemen think? Because we have 11 picks. We're not scheduled to pick until the 3rd round at the moment as it stands.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult to trade up into the 2nd. With the picks that we have, I mean, we're right at the end of the 3rd. It would mean giving up a lot of those 3rd round picks. You'd probably have to bundle 2 of those and a few others to get up to the 2nd. The drop off from 1 to 2 doesn't really happen from 2 to 3. A late 2nd or like a mid 2nd is not much better in terms of points. That point system that they have.
than a late 3. I think like a 3 is 5 and a 6 gets you into a second easily. Something like that. If they fell in love with somebody, they might absolutely do it. There's a lot of very good tight end in this draft, but I think they'll all be gone by the time we pick.
I was surprised we stuck and took all of the picks last year. I think we all did. We all thought that we'll bundle those up. And did we have 9 players last year? And I think we were saying, we'd probably take 7.
Yeah.
And I think we sat and we didn't budge at all because the team were clearly quite happy with the way the draft was playing out and had enough people on their board that they were happy to just sit and wait. I don't know. It's so hard to tell if that's going to be the same this season. Part of me is just like, we only need potentially a couple of players. Go and target them. Don't just sort of wait with, hate to say it, but the word leftovers that you might get. But
yeah, so Luke's just made the point I was making. We'd have to give up all 3 of our compensatory picks at the end of the third
but
to get into the second.
We've given a 3 round pick to get Trey. It's a 1st round pick to get Trey. If they really want somebody, he's on the board late second, and we want to jump up. I don't see why we wouldn't do it. We did it for Ayuk. We did it.
I think it's different this year because I think we tight on cap space, and because we tight on the cap space, we've only got 51 signed to the roster at the moment. In fact, we don't. On Wednesday, we'll have 51 signed to the roster as it is. I think we'll be using all of those picks in the draft to get as much young talent as possible.
So the beauty of doing a live show, gentlemen, is Jesse Bates was probably someone we were going to touch upon as being an outside chance.
I just saw it. I was like,
so he's just gone.
Yeah, that's a big signing.
Gareth, this time last year, we thought, like you said, we weren't going to use all our picks. Not only did we use all our picks, we also picked up about 11 or 12 free agents at the end of the draft. So I'm not making any bold predictions this year ahead of draft season because we always tend to get it wrong, but who knows. But yeah, that's breaking news, everybody. 64 million. And you would get paid.
4 years, 64. Wow, that's a lot of money for a safety. Yeah. We'll see what the details are again. Could be
one thing and potentially a loss we haven't really talked about is it does look like Robbie Gould is on the way. Do you think we might be sniffing around someone in free agency, or are we going to draft a kicker?
Draft a kicker.
To go with the punter we drafted that really pleased Lee.
In the 3rd, with pick 99. It's just take a kicker
I told you, don't make us laugh. It hurts too much.
It's definitely an area of concern, although we still haven't heard anything from Gold. Maybe he'll come back. I'm not gonna lie, and I've said it towards the end of the season last year. I think, as much as I love Gold, I think he doesn't have the leg, especially on kickoff anymore. There's some of those tight. That would be insane. Some of those games where they were a bit tight and we really needed not to get a return, and he kicked it, at the 10 or at the 5, and then they get a good return. I was a bit, ugh. So
maybe in bad weather, and he's getting to that age where a little tweak or a little nudge, and suddenly you're out for 3 or 4 weeks.
Alex Simpson's totally right. We got Brock Purdy. We don't need a kicker. Just go for 2 every time. Yeah, just TDs. We won't need field goals ever. 23 million year one. Wow.
Jake Moody's the best one in the draft, but it would be quite high. And I think Jason Aponte would go mental if we spent a high draft pick on a kicker. But who knows? Robbie could come back. I think he's holding out for Chicago. I think he's hoping to get paid. But would we be upset, gents, if Robbie Gould come back on a team-friendly deal? Probably not.
No, I'll have him back in a heartbeat.
See, Robbie Gould's just been making the noises that any player who's come to the end of his contract is making. He's making noises as though he's going to leave. I think there's probably his negotiations still going on in the background. And he's just trying to get the best possible deal for himself, which is understandable, especially for somebody his age. If he goes, let's face it. We'll bring in another kicker. The 49ers seem to have the ability to bring in kickers who everybody loves, apart from Chase McLaughlin.
He's Kano.
Sorry?
I was going to say.
He's Kano. He's at the...
Oh, he's Kano, the Hall of Famer. He's Kano,
Cowboys. They signed
he is,
so I maybe I'm in the minority here. I don't think it would be actually too bad to spend one of those late third round compensatory picks on a kicker. I don't understand this idea of it's terrible. We've spent third round picks on running backs who've never really played for the team, and we know those are bad picks.
So just to be clear, I've never ever said don't spend a draft pick on a kicker. A punter's completely different.
If you need one and there's one available in the draft, I don't get the logic.
I don't have a problem. If you draft what's his name from the Ravens, you know, what's his name? I forget his name.
Tucker.
If you draft Justin Tucker in a third, it's a steal. I don't care what you say, but it's a steal.
No, I completely agree.
Gary's on the same page as me, Jake Moody. I'm the same as you, Gareth. I don't care where we draft them because you're not gonna. If he's any good, like Nadji said, if you take Justin Tucker and he's arguably the best kicker ever, and you keep him for however many years, but I just think some people get hung up on draft positions and picks.
Even if he wins you one big game, you'll be happy about it. It's just let's get a kicker. Let's not enter. I don't want to be one of those teams that just like week 8 and they've taken this guy and this guy, Rodrigo Blankenship and whatever his name is and blah blah. For trials because they don't have a kicker, and then we lose again because we miss an extra point. I don't want that.
I'm just smiling, Nadji, because you were watching the live last week with Nick Ludlam, and Nick went out to the Seattle game, Gareth, where Chase McLaughlin cost us that victory. So I did my would you rather on the kickers last week.
It's so unfair to Mr. McLaughlin. It did get us the kick to go to overtime, and then Jimmy for a pick, and then gave Seattle a good position.
But you see, you three gents show me the love. Nick always asks me an evil question, so when the Robin news broke, I had to go down the kicker route last week, so that was an interesting segment. But I don't know, Gareth, to be honest. I'd be happy with what the team do, a veteran, someone in the draft. I'm going to sound harsh, but it's a kicker at the end of the day. I think we've got more pressing concerns in the draft and free agency than a kicker. That's just what's worth for me.
When you've got plenty of picks, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Particularly if some of the other guys, may be trying another backup tight end or a late round running back or whatever, they might well be there in the 5th and 6th. To me, it's if you need the position, you take it because you risk that player not being there next time you're on the board, and it's just not worth the risk to me.
Yeah, I agree. That's what the draft is for. You just take a punt on a player you think might be good, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're not, you're not. It doesn't cost franchise. We drafted Solomon Thomas number 3 not that long ago, and look at our D-line. You could say we would be better with taking Pat Mahomes or whatever, but it's not. That's not how it works. The draft is just
So the Jimmy G era has finally ended 12 months after. We thought it would. Signed with the Raiders.
For a lot of money.
It had been rumoured. Well, it's only 20-odd million. I think it's only about the same as Gino managed to pry out the Seahawks. So I personally think it's quite a good deal for the Raiders.
Yeah, I think it's quite a good deal for the Raiders, and I completely agree with Luke again there, where he's saying he thinks Jimmy G will do well under McDaniels. I think McDaniels will play Jimmy to his strengths rather than what Shanahan's been doing, and that is play to mitigate his weaknesses. So I can see Jimmy having a decent career at the Raiders, especially if they're going to do what they are rumoured to do, and that is build a team around Jimmy again to his strengths and bring in the pieces. So let's see what it's like.
It's I don't know if it's a good signing because I'm not sure McDaniels is a good head coach. He's definitely a good offensive coach, and Luke is right. Hunter Renfro does remind us of Trent Taylor and all those short passes. He's going to absolutely love it. And then they've got Josh Jacobs, which I think is their most weapon. And Jimmy can hand the ball to him, no problem. But Ty is right. Davante Adams is just like, what am I doing here? I've just left one of the best QB in the league ever to play with Derek Carr, who's gone now. And then now I get Jimmy G, which just doesn't throw past 15 yards. It's going to be great.
Well, the money side of it, Lee, was only $67.5 million deal for 3 years. It's $34 million guaranteed. But the main important thing is, Lee, I tweeted Neil Watson after the news broke. And rest assured, everybody, Neil is still a 49ers fan. He's okay. And he made a bold prediction that he'll be torn when the 49ers play the Raiders in the Super Bowl, because he won't know who to cheer for. So you heard it here first
will.
tonight, courtesy of Neil Watson.
Neil Watson is a 49ers fan, first and foremost. I know he likes Jimmy, but he's a 49ers fan.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that in there. As Gary said, Hunter Renfrew, stock is up on fantasy football now. We've got a question.
Oh, that's what he's talking about. Yeah, of course.
So, the Facebook user curious to what strengths.
So again, that's difficult to know because
modeling.
Jimmy came in 2017. The 5 games he played at the end of 2017, he played really well. And until this season, we haven't seen him play as well as that. And that's because the very next season, I think it was game 2 against Kansas City, where he tore his ACL. After that, when he came back, he didn't have the confidence. And Shanahan kind of game planned around that because he could see he didn't have the confidence. He wasn't stepping into his throws, so he wasn't getting the length of his passes that he should have been getting. And from then on, it just seemed to me that Shanahan had completely lost confidence in him. So you didn't see any play calling like you did in 2017. In 2017, Jimmy did look a completely different player. Now, look at some of the play calls he's had this year. We've all mentioned on the podcast before, all of a sudden Jimmy's throwing it downfield. And we hadn't seen that since 2017. So it was one of two things. Either Shanahan knew what he had in Brock Purdy and Lance. Lance was already injured at the time, but he knew what he had in Brock Purdy and decided to just say, well, let Jimmy fling it. Let him, give him enough rope. If he hangs himself, he hangs himself. If not, I've got Brock Purdy back there. So you don't know. I think the way Shanahan has always handled Jimmy ever since that injury against Kansas City, he's handled him with kid gloves, made sure that he couldn't make any mistakes. And I don't think he's maximised the potential he has. I don't know what that potential is.
But I think that's because Jimmy was very prone to making mistakes and having those horrible throws that we were scratching our heads for. And I agree with Luke again. On point, Luke, tonight. Well done. The ACL injury did something to him. It took him a long time to come back from that and have any kind of, physical ability that he had before. And you could tell there's something wasn't quite right. The pirouette, we talked about it so many times, trying to avoid side by turning around and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, as a head coach and a play caller, it is your job to put your players in the best position to succeed. And if that means, tightening up the reins so the guy doesn't throw 5 picks a game, then that's what you got to do. And I think that's why the Jimmy experience was so difficult to go through for us as analysts, because we'd seen, the good plays and what, we've talked about it for 5 years, the good Jimmy, the bad Jimmys. I think
sorry, did you just call us analysts?
Analysts, I did say that. Yeah, I'm trying to sneak it in.
We're the furthest thing from analysts.
Don't mention it. People would start calling us that in a minute. Now you've pointed it out. It's just now. I was trying to sneak that one in.
You're barely even pundits.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair play to Jimmy's backed himself. He's gone into a quarterback-backed division.
Yeah. I mean, fair dues to him. He could have gone 2 years ago, and he backed himself again and again, and he's managed to get himself some more money. And good luck to him. He did take us to 2 Super Bowls. So,
2?
No, 2-1.
2 NFC Championship games.
That's what I meant to say.
I think we'll all wish Jimmy all the best. I think we will do a Jimmy G show at some point, because I think he has been a big part of the Niners' recent history. Things might have been different, better or worse, without him. But I'm kind of, Jimmy's just been such a top professional. I think that goes without saying. But I'm interested to see, freed from the Niners organization and that professionality, what sort of things he might say when questioned. Just interesting. I'm not saying that Jimmy's immediately going to call out and say he had a bad relationship with Shanahan, but
I don't think it would.
No, I think he might. I think he might. I mean, Shanahan kind of made some comments at the end of the season there where he clearly showed his displeasure with Jimmy. At the time, Jimmy was in a position where, should he say something, should he not? He's coming up to the off-season. Would a team want to take him on if he starts bad-mouthing the coach? His current coach probably is not. So he's probably bitten his lip, but listen to everything that Shanahan said, because Shanahan did say some things that kind of made you look at Jimmy and think, well, what the hell, Jimmy? I mean, if you believe what was said, Shanahan kind of implied that Jimmy could have played. He could have suited up for that Eagles game, and Jimmy turned around and said, no, I'm not doing it.
Wow. I mean,
that's huge, that.
Considering how the game went, that is, yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I mean, with that jawline in Las Vegas, I'm sure I'll be fine.
Yeah, perhaps on a plus side, if Jimmy did leave on a bit of a sour note, maybe that means that potentially some of the other players in the locker room might be a bit more accepting of, yeah, it was time for Jimmy to go. And hopefully, I think it'll help Trey Lance for sure, because I don't think that can have been easy, no matter how much Jimmy was professional about it. I just think that was a very difficult situation. And I think with Brock Purdy and his recovery from surgery, I think there's an opportunity in off season. Lance knows the standard, but Purdy has set a standard that Lance has got to beat if he wants to keep this job. And I think there's a clear way forward for Trey Lance. He knows what he's got to do, and I think it's never an injury is never a good thing. But I think it may have worked out in a good way that Trey Lance has probably got 3, 4, maybe 5 games at the beginning of the season to make himself undroppable. And if he doesn't, it's back to Purdy time. And then
we'll see. I think it's going to be an amazing training camp to watch, because I'm pretty sure Purdy will be back for that. I believe in him, and it's right there. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I mean, we've got plenty of time to talk about Lance and Purdy. Should we talk about Brendel? Apparently, he's very coveted, and it looks like we might not be able to keep him. As the rumors going around, there's loads of team after him, which means it's going to be a lot of money to try and match, unless we can persuade him to stay, because it's probably the best system for him or something like that. But we might be on our 3rd center in 3 years, which is a bit of a shame, and a little bit worrying. If we lose, so we lose again 2 O-line essentially, after losing 2 last year.
I think it's going to be a big gap, and it's going to be possibly the only gap in the starting offense. I think it's pretty settled. Well, we don't know whether it's going to be Trey or Brock, but I think other than that, we know wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. Well, there could be some change over there, but not behind McCaffrey. I don't think McCaffrey's going anywhere.
That's a good point.
One to one.
But it's kind of what the Niners do, right? They take people on, and they do good work with us, and that goes for all the coaches as well. And then people come and like, oh, you guys are actually pretty good, and then they take them, and they're like, oh, actually, you were good because you were there and with everything around. No, because you're that good. But yeah, it's kind of what we do. But yeah, let's get Alex Forsyth. I will keep my eye on him for sure. If Brendel goes, wouldn't surprise me if we pick him in like the 5th or the 6th, something like that.
I don't think you can blame Shanahan for the centre situation, though, because obviously Alex Mack retired, which this time last year there was a lot of rumours. Was he going to come back? Was he not? Brendel and Brunskill were kind of sharing snaps in training camp. And as the Facebook user has agreed with you, Nadji, as most of us do, it's going to be an awesome training camp all round. This offence versus this defence is going to be good. And the beauty for us in the UK, we've got so many amazing content creators on the other side of the pond who will be at training camp. Larry Kruger, friend of the show, he was early on the Brock. I noticed your jersey there, Nadji, because I put 54 up tonight because I had a feeling you'd be having your Purdy jersey. But for me, if Brendel goes, Gareth, he deserves to get paid. He had a good season with us. But again, Lee touched upon the salary cap concern, so you've got to prioritise. Do you want to throw a lot of money at Brendel and he might regress? We might have seen the best of Jake Brendel. You've also got to remember Jason Poe. We've talked a lot about him. He kind of has been shuffled around that offensive line. He might be someone that Shanahan's got ready under wraps to come in and start a centre. So that's the beauty of this team. You just don't know some of the plans that they've got. But I'm excited to see what we do.
Well, we do know how much Shanahan values the centre position, and rightly so. It makes me think if he's happy to let Brendel go, then there's got to be a plan. I can't imagine he's letting Brendel go the same way we let McGlinchey go. There's got to be some confidence that McKivitz can do something in that position. Maybe it's going to be the same at centre, or we could potentially see another free agency signing there. But I'd imagine that would have been done today if it was going to happen.
Well, sometimes it's out of our hand, right? If people come in and give him 12 million a year, we can't match that.
Didn't Jason Poe play centre at the Senior Bowl last season?
He did.
They've definitely moved him around.
Yeah.
I'm sure he played centre during preseason with us, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he had a spot there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean,
he came out of college as a guard, but at the Senior Bowl he played centre.
Yeah.
And our very own Nick McGee, he commented on Jason Poe saying he was one of the best centres there, and he wasn't even a centre; he was a guard.
Yeah.
So potentially it's going to be Jason.
Oh,
Poe.
Nick there.
And the mystery
Nick.
Facebook user is our good friend Nick, and what he's saying there. Thanks for going live. It's great to see everyone talking Niners. Now, to be fair, chaps, I'm quite impressed because when we've gone live, this is your first experience on the YouTube with the comments coming in, and it's a good opportunity now, Lee. Ryan from No Border Sports has put there 16 watching,
smash it.
Only 7 likes. Come on, hit that like button.
Hit the like button.
And I think someone's put in there, David's from Canada, I believe. He joined the live last week, and he's put, I think we kicked Burford out to right tackle. I believe he played there in college, built like.
Yeah.
Oh, did he? I didn't realise he played right tackle in college. Oh, that would be juicy. So, I mean, I would actually rather keep Burford there and maybe have Brent Scale as a backup centre because he can do that too.
And Luke Walsh is on fire with the comments.
Yeah, I saw that as well, Luke.
No, I saw that earlier, and I keep refreshing Twitter.
Yeah.
See what does he mean, but it's going to be a middle of the night job, that isn't it? Americans and their silly times.
I think we've been going 55 minutes.
We have.
We've covered everything. Do you think anything else is going to be happening in free agency?
Yeah, I'm
in the next 24 hours, that is.
I wouldn't. Yeah, they talked about signing the corner from Jacksonville, Herndon. We do need a bit of.
Unless Mosley's definitely gone. But...
Yeah, there's that. We just need depth, It's one of those things. You lose a corner, and then you have to sign Josh Norman, and then your season goes up in flames. So let's not be there anymore.
4 starting corners, I think. You need 3 corners in the slot.
That's it. I mean, we still have Ambry Thomas, but I don't know what was his touches last year. Because he played 2021, the back end of the season, and he was all right. He was pretty good. In that Rams game, he changed a few things. So maybe he can have a revival and compete with Lenore and Ward. But I think we still need a couple more just to make sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if his recovery's gone well that we get Verrett back again for that 1.5 million, because I can't see him being picked up somewhere else. But maybe he'll have it.
I think it'll be cheaper than 1.5 million.
Yeah, it'll be on vet in minimum for sure.
Yeah, what's that? 600,000, 800,000?
I don't know for corners. It's depending on value, isn't it? On position, isn't it?
Right.
I don't know. As much as I would love to see Jason Verrett come back and have a good season, even just a good season for us, and have kind of the Alex Smith story that comes back and plays for a little bit and then just retires. It's a lot to ask this guy. He's been injured pretty much his entire life, rehabbing, and I hope he's in a good place and he can do it. But I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to ask somebody to do that one more time, and God knows if he gets injured again, I'd feel terrible.
So Ty's throwing a comment just for you, Nadji. We're going to trade Debo for a kicker, then you will be bald on the next show from pulling all your hair out.
If it's Justin Tucker, I could actually get behind that somehow.
I could see if Lee's prediction of us trading away a big player, I think Debo's one. I'm not saying I want to see him go, but I'm saying when he was injured, we didn't seem to miss a beat. I don't know if we'd miss him that much. I think we'd miss McCaffrey more, even though he's only been half a season. I think we'd miss Pickle more. We'd certainly miss Juszczyk more, and we'd probably miss Ayuk more.
I agree. I agree, but also I watched, when we did the awards, I watched pretty much all of the highlights, and Debo was actually really good last year. It was just kind of we were so good on the back end that he kind of got drowned out a little bit at the end, but he's still a very special player. I would hate to see him go, especially after the drama from last year and the draft and the contract and all that. It would be a bit of a shame. Unless we can really fleece someone and take a lot away from it.
Yeah, so Neil Graham's just said that he said the Niners have reached out to Mosley's reps. And I think that would be good if we can bring him in, because I think I mentioned this on one of the pods a couple of weeks ago. He's obviously coming off a really bad injury there. He hasn't had a chance to actually prove that he can get back up to speed. Will there be teams that were willing to take a try on him? You've probably got the Texans, the Dolphins, and the Jets, purely because of the 49ers connections. He may give us a team-friendly deal to get back up to speed again.
Yeah.
If it's a 1-year deal, then he hits free agency next year. He's proved his fitness again. I think that would be great, because obviously he knows the system, he knows the team. I think that's going to be a good thing if we can bring Mosley back. Yeah. He was arguably having his best season last season.
It was, yeah.
I think what you got to remember though, Lee, the Niners have a strategy and they have a structure and they have a price tag. We saw that with Tomlinson last year. We wanted to keep Tomlinson, but the Jets offered too much money. I think with Mosley, we all want to see him back, but they've got this kind of structure. And like you've just said there, go test free agency, we'll try and match the offer. But if it's going to be too much, then they're going to move on. As Ty's put there, the people want to see a mid-season.
That's a good idea.
Fuckers Awards.
That's a good idea. They're a lot of work,
Well, that could be something for the bye week where we try to fill the bye week.
Yeah, it depends when the bye week is.
That's a bad idea.
If we get bye week 3, week 4, it'll be pointless. Should we? If we talk, I want to mention something before we move on. But if we talk about free agency enough, should we take some questions since we're live and we don't do that very often?
Yeah.
Before we do that, we'll keep going. There has been a massive news, and it would be amiss to mention a massive congratulations to Crystal for the birth of her daughter. Welcome to being a parent. It's amazing. It's the best thing in the world, and all the best to you and everybody else. And I hope you're doing all right. Fan. Yeah, another Niner fan on the planet.
So we did tweet the picture out earlier, Nadji. Ariana, Alicia are absolute worlds. As soon as I seen the picture, as you said, Nadji, any parents shared that. So I was going to wait till the end, but we had to get the congratulations in there. Looking forward to seeing Ariana at one of the meetups in the future, because Crystal has promised that she would bring. We are a family-orientated meetup, but it's always great to see a new member to the faithful, especially the UK faithful.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, shall we do questions?
Yeah, question there from Nick. Great question about Drake Jackson.
I expect. I think I'm on board with Nick here. I think at least 6 sacks, and just a bit more flashing on the screen, kind of thing. Where you say, "Oh, that was Drake Jackson," which he didn't really do last year. He was good, but he didn't jump off the screen, which is obviously something I trust the gut. You see somebody popping off the screen, that's how I knew Huff was a good player. He just kept on being there.
He flashed early on and just seemed to run out a little bit of steam. I don't think it was attitude or injury or ability. I think it was just the rigours of the NFL. He seemed to drop off at the end, and I think he was a healthy scratch in a couple of games towards the end. But hopefully that's just an indication of he's got a lot of work to do this off-season. Come back stronger, fitter.
Yeah, and Hargrave is going to help a lot, I think, generating those outside pressure and be in the mix. So,
yeah, I can see him taking off purely for that reason alone. I mean, the players that he's going to be lining up alongside, they're just absolutely phenomenal talents. And that can only help Drake Jackson by taking the pressure off him. Everybody's going to be trying to keep hold of Bosa, Hargrave, and Eric Armstead. It's going to leave Jackson. And from what I saw of him last season, in pre-season, the flexibility of the guy is unbelievable. He reminded us of Alden Smith, the way he moves, the way he can bend around players. He just didn't really show it that much last season. but it was his first season. He's got to get game fit for the NFL. It's completely different to college. And I think this coming season, with who we've just signed and the existing players, I think it's exciting times for Drake Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely.
As Ryan has put there, we need Drake to show up this year, be the last piece in a D-line that could go down in history. So your bold prediction, Lee, about being better than the Bears could come true. And as Ty said there, Jackson hit the wall, but he played well in the beginning. And like we said earlier in the show, chaps, Wilkes likes to blitz and not necessarily from the front four. So that's something to keep an eye out as well. Like we said, Hufanga doesn't need any more license, Najee, to be told. Run after that ball. So that could be something from there. David's put in there that our good friend John Chapman thinks Ryan Kelly could be an ideal Brendel replacement. Apparently the Colts have him on the trade block. So again, that's the other interesting thing at this time of year. People are moving people on and they're looking at the draft, and you could have salary cap implications. I mean, look at our good friends at the Rams giving away Jalen Ramsey for a packet of
we need to talk about that.
2027 draft pick and all the rest of it. So
yeah.
Well, Debo, you've driven someone out of California.
That's a great question, Ty. Until they sign me, I don't think we'll ever have enough running backs.
Simon's got a question. Do we think Hargreave could be that final piece to get number 6?
I mean, it's the hope, right? That's what we're going for. But I'll say again and again and again, it's so hard to win a championship. The things that can happen throughout a season that can derail it, and the last game you can be the best team and still lose the last game. I hope so, but it's very difficult to win a Super Bowl.
I think we had all the pieces to get ring number 6 last year. We just didn't have the luck as far as injuries were concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the roster we've had over the last four seasons, and you can arguably say we've had the roster to win 6, 7, 8, and 9. It's just that injuries haven't been kind to us.
Yeah.
Will Hargrave make a difference? He'll certainly make a difference on defense. Whether or not we can secure the 6th ring is completely out of his hands, because if we end up having both Lance and Brock Purdy injured again, then it's got nothing to do with the defense.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, the moves that the 49ers front office are making are good moves. On the eye, the good moves. Let's see what the checkbook looks like after they've totted up all the figures. But I mean, exciting times.
Yeah.
I think the restructures are on the way, and we've seen teams, the Saints, the Rams, others. You might end up paying for it, but now's the time to do it. We've got a Super Bowl window that's wide open, and we've got 2 good quarterbacks, shall we say, for what, 11 million between them.
Yeah.
And one of them's going to be good enough. This is the time for me to spend and worry about it later. I know that's a little bit against our sort of steady, consistent building, but sometimes you've got to go for it. It worked for the Rams, no matter what sort of state they're in now. They spent the money, they got the ring. I'd rather have a more consistent challenging for it. But I think while you've got that rookie quarterback contract window, that's the time to go for it, because as soon as in 3 or 4 years' time, we're going to pay Brock or Trey. And that's the point where everything else becomes difficult.
Well, Brock would be a lot sooner than that. 7th round rookie contracts are 3 years? 3 years? 2 years?
4 years.
3 years. 4 years. Yeah.
Shanahan clearly saw enough and said, sign him up. So he's not going anywhere for 2 years.
Simon asked for bold predictions, but I don't think any of us could be as bold as this Ty. No QBs will be injured in 2023. And before we move on, I'm not sure whether Neil caught early, but this is what we were saying, Neil, with Hargreaves. The pressure is overlooked by a lot of people, and the fact that he brought 57 QB pressures on his own last year is really good. And our good friend Nicholas has put there, chaps, that there's so many variables to winning the Super Bowl, but injury luck is one of the most important. Hargreaves only missed 1 game in 6 years, which, again, John Chapman was pointed out earlier. And what's been great today is all the content creators have been going live a lot earlier than expected. And I said to you 3 off air, Wayne Breezy went live at 3 o'clock. And by the time 5:30 had come round, some of that stuff he talked about had gone out the window. So I'm quite glad we went live tonight. And we've given everyone a taste of what it's like on this side of the pond. Coming up to 9:10. We're all looking at Twitter. We're all waiting for the news. And like you said, Gareth, the next few days, Tracy's going to be telling me off for being on my phone because news is just going to break at such random times. And first thing in the morning, I'll be like, switching my phone on thinking, who signed for who or who's traded who away. So it's great to be an NFL fan in the UK at this time.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good.
Yeah. We've been going over an hour. We've got the small matter of the 49er Faithful UK Awards that were due to announce on the podcast. We can announce them live. Perhaps I can follow it up. But
this will be a podcast. We will send in the ether as well for people that aren't here.
Yeah, we will do. Yeah.
But anything else? I think the awards will be a good place to finish the season for us. Because I think this will be our last pod of the season.
Yeah, it will be.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a question there for you, Nadji. Running back.
Oh, where's it?
Davis Price. Any future with the Niners?
Yeah, I think he played pretty well when he did play. So same again. It's the whole Shanahan second year. Can you make an impact and can you come in? Obviously a backup. I generally think Mitchell might get cut during training camp if TDP and Jordan Mason look good, just because he's been injured far too much, and we can't really rely on him.
Trade him to the Dolphins. That's what we do with excess.
Trade him to the Dolphins for a fifth. I hope so. He looked good. He looked very, very good. Oh, look at that. It's Aaron Rodgers. No, that's me.
You mean that TDP?
Yeah, that TDP. We're very excited about it. I have to back it up.
Full disclosure, as soon as the camera moved away, both me and Nadji turned around to each other and said, "Who?
Yeah.
Never heard of him."
Pretty much every pick we did that. It's like, who's that guy? Let me go on my phone and LSU. Oh, cool. Yeah. Let's watch some highlights. Oh, he looks all right. That's what we did.
Any other questions in?
Yeah, let's sprinkle some questions while we'll do the awards, and if there's some good one, we can answer.
I'll keep an eye out. I was trying. I thought you were wrapping it up, so I tried not to. David's put more of a statement than a question. We just need a QB to play full season. Hopefully, Trey Brock can make it happen. And who knows, may look like a certain QB that wears number 12. Another thing that Luke's raised, 49ers have been in the top 10 injury rates in 2013. And this spans 4 head coaching regimes, 2 management teams, 2 training teams, and 2 medical staff. So hopefully the injury gods will be happy, be good to us this year.
At some point,
yeah,
it'll happen.
I think
that's the awards. It was the Oscars last night. We should have teed up some suitable music, but
I promise everybody here I won't stand up and come and slap you in the face. Promise.
Thank you. Yeah, particularly me announcing them. I'm not going to say anything about your family, Maggie. So. I think we had a huge response to an awful lot of awards. As once again we tried to rationalise them, but once again the awards just get out of hand because we just want to give a lot of love to a lot of different players. There was some pretty clear winners, I think, for almost all of the awards. Apart,
it's tallied over Facebook and Twitter, isn't it? So we don't have the graphics.
No, I didn't actually add up the numbers apart from the most improved, which was very, very, very close. All of the others were not close enough to need to actually tally up Facebook and Twitter.
Way. Hang on.
Go on in. Breaking news.
Sorry.
Yeah. Stick that one on, Paul. I'm going on
no
Twitter.
Way.
I'm going on Twitter to just check that.
There's no way we did that. Why would we do that?
Now, to be fair, if we've been caught out, it happened on the Breezy show when someone dropped McGlinchey had re-signed, but they'd used his original sign, and so everyone gasped and was like, we spent how much? So maybe this could be breaking news, Gareth. It might not be.
No, it is. It's Schefter's reported it. It is.
Just saying that. Yes, wow, indeed.
Interesting.
This is why Gareth gets paid the big bucks. The poor guy's trying to host. Got his notes there. We're at the awards ceremony. And us three
ruined it for me.
No, so I mean, this might play well into one of the categories and one of the candidates in the categories. I'm sure you must know who I'm talking about.
I'm trying to make sense of this.
Yeah.
I don't. What's What's the point? I don't get it.
So unsung hero on the team.
Well, who's won it?
Najee's choice for unsung hero.
Najee's choice, exactly.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
The quarterback whisperer.
Does that mean we're trading? I mean, it's not.
No.
It could
Definitely
be.
not. No.
It could be though.
No.
Why would we sign Sam Darnold? Because Darnold is a QB2, not a QB3, really.
No, we need a third, and he's a guy who needs to rehabilitate his career, I think, for a year, and maybe going and sitting on the bench. Plus, he's going to get OTAs. He's going to get some training camp. He's probably going to play in preseason.
And we looked at him last year. Apparently, there was a few rumours going around, and if you look at Stidham's got a 2-year, $10 million deal with the Broncos, which is $5 million guaranteed, which is a lot for a backup because they've got Wilson. So if all these backup
2.5 per
QBs
year
getting signed up,
Yeah, he's going to be third string quarterback.
And he's still only like 24, 25. Didn't he come into the draft very young? So,
like Ty said,
yeah, no, that's true, Ty. You're right. What I don't understand is why would I know the Panthers got the #1 pick, and they're definitely going to get either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, I would imagine. But wouldn't you want some kind of insurance in case either gets injured or doesn't play very well?
Where did Stidham go? Didn't Stidham go to the Panthers? Oh, Broncos.
Yeah.
Broncos. I could have sworn the Panthers have just signed a quarterback.
Did they?
I must be wrong. Yeah, I think I'm wrong.
I mean,
they've got the #1 overall pick, right?
Yeah.
They're clearly going to go QB there.
I did see the Jags re-sign CJ Beathard. Maybe you're thinking of that. I always get the Jags and Panthers mixed up. I don't know why.
It's very close to each other, to be fair.
So by any chance, did I hide my disgust really well of the Sam Darnold signing there?
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's like, no.
Interesting. I mean,
any idea?
Is he going to?
Because that if he's $1 million, then that's all right.
Yeah. Unless we
we
cut him at training camp or something like that. Just comes in and
Nicholas has put there. Given what's happened in the season, can always trade him. And David's put Shanahan's condition to want as many quarterbacks as possible. Can't blame him. So it seems positive.
I mean, as backup goes, it might be the best backup we could get. Maybe Minshew was better if we could get him, but.
And I think other than 2019, we've started 3 quarterbacks in every single one of Shanahan's other seasons, other than 2019.
Yeah, watch him coming in and lighting up some team in preseason week 3 and then starting some crazy. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then people are like, we should sell Sam Darnold.
It's difficult, He had a tough start in the Jets, I think, drafted with Adam Gase, so that perhaps wasn't the best situation to be in. And he is still young. So
yeah, that's true.
Not what I was expecting, but there we go. People keep
think so. Bringing in a fourth.
Oh yeah, will happen.
I think so. Bringing a fourth.
We should draft Stetson Bennett. Why not?
He's a place college.
I've got us drafting a quarterback in the 7th round. Mm-hmm. Give us a second. I think Ty asked for this earlier.
Well, I think there's been a Brock Purdy effect, hasn't there? That there's been a lot of these quarterbacks who people thought would be 5th, 6th, 7th round. People are maybe looking at them being more like 3rd or 4th round picks because people have seen what Purdy has
Clayton
done.
Tune. I don't even know who that is. You need to stop drafting Michael Wilson.
This is breaking news,
I'm going to draft
everybody.
Michael Wilson every single time I'm on that mock draft.
And Fehoko because of San Jose.
I'm telling you, he's
I
going to
like
be
Dorian
a
Williams
player in
out
the
tune
NFL.
in though. That's a good player.
He was having a fantastic season, his last season before he got injured.
It's not draft season.
He has had a couple of injuries.
Get this away. It's not draft season yet.
He had a good Senior Bowl, and he's had a good combine as well. He hasn't got the kind of stats that jump off the page at you, but just watching him play. If you watch him play, you keep on saying this, Najee, it's the eye test. If you watch the kid play, he's a good player. He's going to have a decent career.
That's true. That would be very funny.
We're just having some fun with the comments, Lee. Like Najee
yeah,
said,
that's true.
We do that
for
draft season.
Save it after draft
That's
season.
the
Get this
first
away.
one.
It's not time. It's not April yet.
It's not my first one.
Right,
Attention,
shall we
but,
do the awards?
let's do the award
See if
in an
the
hour and
NFL
20.
gets through this. Hopefully, after the Darnold signing, there might be a little bit of a breather. Not in any particular order, other than the order I wrote them down in. Offensive play of the year was Brock Purdy's pump fake TD to George Kittle versus the Seahawks.
Who was it?
Who was
It was
what?
usually, wasn't it?
No, it was Gareth's.
No,
It was yours,
mine.
Gareth. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Nice one. Very nice.
The Kittle juggling catch was a fairly close second. It possibly would have been closer, but I accidentally deleted it.
I think the only one.
Oh, you did. You did delete it. It's definitely
The only person that voted for my play of the year was me.
Yeah, well, that happened to a few of us, I think. So, but defensive player of the year was the Hufanga pick six versus the Rams, and I'm pretty sure that was Najee's. Defensive player of the year was Bosa, and it wasn't even close to anybody else. Defensive player of the year was
not the
McCaffrey.
CMC throw. Sorry, it is rigged like the rest of the NFL, as we all know.
It's rigged by our bot farm. So, so offensive player of the year, CMC, and that wasn't even that close either. Rookie of the year, anyone care to take a guess?
Was it Jordan Mason?
Not quite.
Sammy Womack.
No, Sammy Womack's got his own award.
He's the own award. So, it was Brock Purdy.
Oh wow, this guy. It's weird because he didn't look like a rookie, so it doesn't feel like.
You're right, he didn't.
He did not.
Overall team MVP, again, this wasn't even close. It was Nick Bosa again. So a double award there for the little bear. Unsung hero, Najee, you've won this with Brian Greasy.
Nice. I like it. That's good.
Good call. Certainly went down well. Very popular choice. Most improved player. This was the one I had to add up. And it was Aaron Banks with a total of 52 votes. But I think Hufanga and Ayuk had 50 votes each.
Oh,
so that was one where it was very closely split. So I had to add up across Twitter and Facebook. And I didn't even know until I was going to add them up. I couldn't tell who had won. Incomplete pass of the year, our little award that we announced on the show that we didn't do a vote for, but it was the Brock Purdy to Brandon Ayuk almost touchdown, almost play of the season, but incomplete pass of the year. So nice to give that one a little award. And our final award, of course, was best cornerback taken in round 5 and announced by an Englishman. Would you care to take a guess, Lee?
I've no idea, Matt. Absolutely no idea.
I was there. I want to say Sammy something.
Wasn't it a Scottish guy that got up?
Close though.
Close.
I mean, that's what
Close,
the Americans were thinking, I'm sure.
Sammy Womack, so all 10 award winners, well done to all of them. And thanks for everybody who got involved and took the time out to vote on certainly 8 awards on 8 separate days. I think we ran out of a little bit of steam towards the end, though it could just be the Facebook algorithm thinking not another award.
Yeah,
we can't keep posting these on people's timelines. But great to see people involved and great to see a few comments. And great to see a lot of love for a lot of players, I think. Although there were some unanimous winners, I don't think there was anyone who didn't get any votes at all, even if it was just you voting for yours, Lee. But I voted for Lenore on a couple, and we seem to be the only person who did. But there we are. Yeah, watch out.
Yeah, I really like
people for next season. I think he's going to be he's going to look every bit as good as Mooney Ward on the other side next year.
So yeah, people do let us know if you like the format of the Four Fuckers this year. We kind of changed it. We used to pick a winner amongst us, but now we're just picking one player and letting you decide. I think it's a lot fairer and it's a bit more fun for everybody to get involved. Maybe we'll tweak the way we put the polls out in a way that's not so dragging for 8 days or something. Is that true? Is that true, Lee? We're going to draft a kicker.
I
Might be
can't
true.
confirm nor deny.
I have to say though, Nadji, I enjoyed the way we did this year's award show. I thought
Yeah,
it
me
went
too.
well with the wheel. I think it
Yeah,
went
yeah,
well.
it's
Us
fun.
having to talk about it on the spot, as in you didn't know who you were
Yeah.
going to get. And like you said, Gareth, the fact that it was uncoordinated chaos. So Gareth would post the poll on Facebook, and then I'd remember to post it on Twitter. And some of the polls ran for 5 days, some of them ran for 1. But overall, it was good to see the interaction. People shared the
Yeah.
tweets, and like you said,
Maybe we
Gareth, I
can
liked
do like a Survey Monkey page or a Google thing page and just post the link and then ask people to
Yeah, Omaha.
say hi. Cool.
So,
I've got to say,
go on.
I thought talking was going to hurt my face tonight, but it hasn't been talking. That's done. It's been smiling. That's hurt my face tonight with some of the comments that's coming.
Yeah, it's
I've made
pretty
it
good.
through
This we could get used to this live business. It's pretty fun.
Well, we're 85 minutes in. I think it's probably people have had enough of us, and it's in danger of Paul Hope is now about 7% of YouTube, I think. So we better knock that one on the head. But a little bit of an end of the season, obviously, a little bit of an end of an era, I think, with Jimmy moving on, and of course the four of us are out of contract. So. Don't know if any of you guys have been tampered with. I think the viewers will have to wait and see if we all make it back for the new season.
We'll see. Training camp ahead.
Yeah.
Starts bench pressing some microphones and stuff.
So, anything before we wrap up, lads?
I hate to break it to you, Gareth, but my contract's been signed because I'm back tomorrow, Tuesday live.
Oh,
with
you're doing
Mr.
a live,
Rutland.
yeah, of course.
So
of course.
obviously, I have a taste for this. Like you said, 7% of YouTube's ambitious, but I'll take it. But Ty just put a good comment in there that he can easily see someone else stealing the format.
I think somebody's already done that.
Because it was that good. And Gary, great show, boys.
Thank you very much, Gary.
Everyone who's tuned
Cheers.
in at this impromptu live, we didn't advertise it, Gareth. Lee said, let's go
We
live.
didn't
We hit the
organise it.
live button.
Yeah,
The
there's a good
comments have
reason I
been
said let's go
amazing,
live.
so-
I just couldn't be bothered to edit the show afterwards.
It's as good as reason as any.
Luke is settling for 35 guarantee. I mean, that's all incentive, right?
Well, you wonder
Just
who
prove it
does
deal.
want, who would take Trey. You've got to think it's maybe. I can't see the Texans doing it. I thought they're going to stick and draft a QB since they didn't go for Jimmy. It's not going to be the Dolphins. It's not going to be the Jets.
Well, why not?
Well,
Rodgers
unless
doesn't- yeah.
Unless, and this is the only thing I can see that's happened is Aaron Rodgers told the Jets, "Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. I'm staying in Green Bay," and then the Jets are fumbling and made a stupid offer to us, and we were like, "Yeah, sure, you can have Trey Lance." Oh, that's some breaking news.
He resigns.
Yeah. 5 pints guaranteed. If you've ever beaten a candlestick in, you'll know that's not true.
Well, it's 5 pints over 5 years, but you get 3 today, and then you've got to make the other 2 last 5 years. So.
Okay, I'm a bit long in the tooth. Somebody's going to have to explain to me what BBNG means.
I have no idea.
I've
Where
no
is this?
There you go, BBNG.
Bring
Bang,
back-
Niner gang.
Bang Bang Niner
Oh,
Gang.
God.
Bang Bang Niner Gang.
It's your signature
Wow.
move,
I know.
man.
How the hell did I not get that?
I didn't get
wow.
it straight away.
Too late in the day.
Right then,
All right.
let's
do one.
wrap this up. Thanks to everyone who's joined us, and thanks for joining me, lads. A new
Thank you.
season full of hope, full of interest, full of intrigue. We will hopefully, if we can negotiate through our agents, we will all be back sometime very soon. Until then, go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, nine again.
Go on, Niners.